All right, well, I'm just going to dive in. Let me do my little blurb and then we'll get it going. Welcome back to Cocktails and Crankshafts. I'm your host, the Fat Man, the Africanized Honeybee, the Killer Bee. Get at me at carguyblog05 at Gmail or at 05car on Twitter. That's at the word zero, ZERO, the number five, the word car, CAR, at 05car at Twitter. Tonight we're going to do something a little different. We're having ladies' night. And those of you that know, I sometimes have female co-hosts, but I've never just had an all-lady free-for-all panel discussion. So that's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to introduce our guests, and then we're going to get going. I think we've got everybody we're going to get, so we're going to get this thing going. There's a question I'm going to ask later, and you all will have every right to plead the fifth if you choose to. But first, let's get going and meet everybody. We'll start with you, boss lady.
Boss lady, it would have to be me first, right? Okay. So, by profession, I am an accountant and I work in the area of budget and I specialize in managing people and funding sources across various funding streams. And of course, these things are subject to audit and review. I have three children and I'm married. So, that's me.
And you're, we'll say you're in the Generation X cohort.
Yes.
Okay, Jane, you're up next.
I am from North Carolina, pretty much spent all of my life here except for a brief stint where I lived in Baltimore. I am a data analyst by profession. Wow. I
Somebody's doing the
have one
cocktails
daughter.
already.
Hey, you said we could start. I have one daughter who is 29. I have a grandson who is 10. I was a teen mother, so I too am in the same Gen X category, but I just started a little early in life. I guess that's it. I guess over to you, D.
Okay, Lady Star.
Hi, this is Star. I am an almost 50-year-old entrepreneur in North Carolina, rediscovering myself after having a job for 23 years that closed due to COVID.
Mm, yeah, I've been I know part of that story. May.
What's up, everybody? I am your girl Mae Flowers. Out here in these DMV area streets. Um, in my day job, I'm trying to help get drugs to market from your favorite company, or your non-favorite company, however you want to look at that, and however you feel about your drugs.
Hey, I got some
Um,
farm in my portfolio right now. I'm not gonna lie.
Hey man, listen, we out here in these streets heavy right now. Heavy, heavy. In my mind though, I'm your favorite rapper's favorite rapper. And so maybe one day in my next life.
Gotcha. Well, okay, ladies, I thank you all for joining me, and this is going to be interesting. So I'm going to start with my little spiel. We're all roughly in the same age cohort. They're about 80s and 90s. Uh, was our formative years, so to speak. Maybe the very tail end of the 70s. So you all will remember, like I did, a time when we had boys' toys and girls' toys. And not that things never crossed over because I played house with my sister a lot, and I hated it because I was always the son because I was the small kid, right? So I always had to play the son. I never got to be the dad when we were playing quote unquote house. But here's what I want to know: how many of you had toy cars, played with toy cars? I mean, Hot Wheels, Tonka, pedal cars, Matchbox, whatever you got. Let's just go around the circle and see what we've got going here.
Well, I can remember playing with this is Boss Lady. I can remember playing with Barbie, Corvette, but I didn't really play with any other cars.
I forgot the Barbie Dream Car. Yeah, that
Yeah,
too.
the dream car.
This is May. I had a handful of like the Hot Wheels cars. I was never really into it, but I had a few. But I was also in the height of the those race car tracks, the magnetic things or whatever that you had, and my cousins and their attempts to make these elaborate race tracks in the dining room at my aunt's house while simultaneously not getting cussed out, and then when getting cussed out getting beat with those same race car tracks.
Gotcha. Yeah, yeah.
This is Star. I grew up in a house full of girls, so I did not have lots of cars in the house. My dad was a model car enthusiast, so I did get to help him put together quite a few, and I enjoyed hanging out with my boy cousin that's my same age because he had lots of cars.
Gotcha.
This is Jane. I had a boy cousin that was around my age, but we didn't play with each other. So I could only watch while he played with his racetrack or whatever other cars that he had. And I always wanted a Tonka truck, but I wasn't allowed to have one because I was a girl.
Now
So
the audio dropped there, so I'm not going to ask what it was of his you weren't allowed to play with, but we'll we'll move on. um, so okay, so you all had some experience with toy cars in some form or another. So the next question I wanted to ask is, and this is just a personal thing with me. So I'm a boy, and growing up in the '80s, cars were always referred to as she, her, right? So all my cars are assigned female, even though I give them funky code names. Kind of like the Duke boys had the General Lee. Obviously, Robert E. Lee was a man, but the car is still a girl. So my cars have been things like the Egg, Stinger, Buzzer, Silverhawk, White Whale, Blue Streak, except for Miss Bessie. That was the only car I had that actually had a girl's name. But I'm curious, when you look at a vehicle, do you assign it as male or female since we're doing gender roles? By the way, my pronouns are he and him. I just throw that in there. Um, Jay.
That's so academic.
I just told somebody that the other day, not my pronoun being he or him, but I prefer the pronoun she. So yeah, I get it. But I'll jump in. Um, oh gosh. Yes, I do assign girl names to cars. That's what we were just talking about. My current car is an Explorer and her name is Door.
Oh well,
So
no,
yes.
we'll get to that later. We'll get to the current car later.
I'm sorry.
You jumped the gun.
See, I too, this is Boss Lady again. I too was going to say something along the lines of what my current vehicle's name is.
We'll get to
So
that.
it is a female name.
My dad told me that all great things are named after women, and so all of my cars have had female names. But my current car does not have a name, which I have grossly erred in that. I'm gonna have to think about that because she needs a name. But my previous car was Brayburn Mika Carly Red because she
Wow.
was red. Oh yeah, well she was red. So her and she was red like Brayburn apples. Carly from Carly Red from Love and Hip Hop, and then Mika because that was her Hyundai name. Her Hyundai name was Mika Red, and so I just figured she needed more names because she was dynamic.
Sure. Anyone else?
I've always named my cars girl names.
Okay. So that holds. That's interesting. Um, okay, so now we're talking about that. I currently, and y'all all know me to some degree or another, some better than others, but I'm currently driving a Toyota Camry, and let me tell you, that car, I hate that car. I hate that car so much. But
Wow.
the grown up in me realized that I needed to have a grown up car. So I have a grown up car. And as I am going through this transition in my life of leaving one career and going on to the next career, and this period of being unemployed, I have sold almost all of my sports cars except the Stinger. The Stinger is still in the garage and will be making its way into a storage unit. But all my other little coupes are gone. And I'm driving this damn Camry every day and I hate it, and I have not given it a name yet, and that's weird. But um, I guess it's so bland and lacking in personality that I can't even assign it a name because that. So let's go down the list. What is your current ride or rides?
Okay, this is Boss Lady again. My current ride is a Toyota Camry. Mm.
Oh, foot in mouth, foot in
Oh,
mouth. But you've known me long enough to know that that's my default setting.
oh yeah, yeah. Well, I won't go there tonight.
And this is Star. I currently drive a Nissan Sentra.
Okay. I stayed away from the Sentra because of the CVT. I like Nissans, but I do not like that CVT.
Gotcha.
Jane,
This is Jane. My current vehicle is a Ford Explorer.
Explorer, Dora. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love that name, by the way.
Thank
My
you.
current, I mean, it fits. My current vehicle is a BMW 328.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. Beamer. I not a I like the concept of a German car, I would not want to own a German car, if that makes any sense.
Oh no, I've seen the repair bills. It makes complete sense.
Yeah, like my sister, my
It makes
sister,
complete sense.
my sister had a little C-class Mercedes, and when she got ready to buy it, I was like, don't get that car. She's like, but it's
Don't do
cute.
it.
I was like, don't do it,
Mm-mm.
and she did it,
Money sink.
and that, I mean, but for her that was a come up, right? Because she came out of like a Daewoo. She
Right.
was in school driving a raggedy Daewoo, and when she finished school, she jumped into this Mercedes, and she had sticker shock when she learned that tires were going to be $1,000 a set.
Listen.
And I was
Woo.
like, yeah, because you got two different sizes, front and rear, and you got summer sports tires. You got like Dunlop, Bridgestone pole position. You got expensive tires on all four corners, and they're different sizes, and they're left and right mounted, so you can't even rotate them really.
The shit hit different. I would not buy a Mercedes, but and I, honestly didn't ever see myself driving like a BMW, but dear husband had one, an older one. And we ended up between the two of us having three cars, and then my mom's car died, so she got my Hyundai. I was driving the older BMW, and then that was sort of dying. So now that is with his parents. And so I got a newer one, or new to me, because I'm not gonna lie, a heated steering wheel will change your life.
I don't know. I once had an expedition that had heated seats, and that was unnerving.
What?
I mean,
Especially when it's
that's
when it's
Iowa, so I mean, they were handy, but that's just not a sensation that you know.
see, you don't get cramps. You don't know nothing about that.
No, I don't. No,
Yeah, and that
we're not
lower back
we're not
pain,
having
those
that
heated
discussion
seats.
tonight. Please,
What? Man,
please,
listen.
can we
He
not
don't
descend
know.
into that?
He don't know.
And no childbirth discussions either, please. I'm
No.
squeamish. I'm very squeamish. Um, okay, let's. Did we get everybody on the current ride? Okay, moving on. So I like to tell people my introduction to car culture was through pop culture. I mean, my dad was a car guy, but my dad, my dad as a young paratrooper drove a Dodge Charger. Big nasty snarling Mopar beast. But my dad, as a married man, drove a series of in the time that I knew him in my life, he drove a series of nondescript, boring, get you from point A to point B type vehicles. So I was introduced to cars through pop culture, like Smokey and the Bandit and Cannonball Run, Dukes of Hazzard, Magnum PI, Knight Rider, Hardcastle McCormick, even the Transformers. Did you all get into any of these shows? The especially the vehicle aspect of those shows, or no?
Probably Knight Rider was my favorite car on a show growing up.
Yeah, same. I think Knight Rider was my only pop culture car reference. That and like Speed Racer, the cartoon. But
Mm,
my dad was a car dude in his mind. He's still talking about, his what was it, the Porsche Pan America or Panorama, something like that.
Pan Amera.
Yes, that one.
Yeah.
But he was very much an A to B and back boring car person until he got his 87 MR2, which
Ooh.
you couldn't tell him nothing after that midlife crisis.
Yeah. Especially because that will only hold two people. There is no back seat in that thing. So
We
yeah.
used to joke MR2, me or you, because both of us ain't going.
This is Boss Lady. I would have to say again, that's Knight Rider. That's the theme here. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was definitely the one for me. If I ever had to watch something car related that was a TV show, that would be it.
And the funny part is that early 80s Trans Am was a dog. I mean, that show raised the profile of that car so much, but in real life, that was not a great car.
Yeah, and I guess I used to watch Dukes of Hazzard a little bit too, but
Well,
not a lot.
you're a little younger, so you would have been a little bit on the trailing edge of that curve.
Yeah, and I was catching reruns. I don't think it was live at that point anymore.
Right.
I don't think.
This is Jane. As far as TV shows, I did watch Knight Rider, Dukes of Hazzard, Transformers. I think really my introduction to cars was from the women in my family. My aunt had a MG Midget,
Oh,
and my mother had a Camaro.
okay.
So
Okay.
those were Those were our cars in our family.
See, none of the women in my family have interesting car. Well, okay, my dad's mother and grandmother never owned a driver's license. They never drove because they were city dwelling folks, so they never even learned to drive. Somebody, my dad's sister had a Volkswagen GTI. Her husband was a car. Her husband had like the Porsche and the Datsun 280 and the Nissan Z, but not a lot of no, none of that in my family. Okay, so we did mention Transformers. Was it weird that they only had one girl? Remember when they after they went to Cybertron, they had RC, and she was the only girl.
I guess if
Oh,
we're talking about it from the standpoint of cars being named after women, then it is, but I never really thought about it before.
Yeah, well, it's like the Smurfette corollary. They only had one girl.
right. I was gonna say I've never really thought about it, but that just kind of would go, that's on par for most things. I guess it would have been a quote unquote boys show, and they needed a female. I guess for someone in the room said we should have a girl, but I never really thought about it.
Mm. Okay, we're gonna move on. Let's talk about some interesting questions, and I'll just throw these out there, and y'all can dig in as you see fit. Um, do you now, or have you ever done any of your own maintenance? I'm talking about anything, changing oil, adding coolant, brake pad, any of that stuff.
This is
Um,
similar. I had one of my rear windows drop down into the panel, and I actually removed the entire panel to fix the window so it would roll back up again.
Okay.
ooh, that's impressive because that happened to my two of my cars.
YouTube, honey, YouTube.
I see, and I watched the video, but it is labor intensive. Ooh,
Yes, it was. I was so proud of myself.
you go, girl.
Thank you, thank you.
I know I've only done add coolant, fluid. I changed the tire once, and I
Okay.
put
No,
on
that counts.
that counts. And then I put on when I moved to I needed a front license plate. I put on the front license plate of the car.
Okay. When you move to the other state, I'll edit
It's fine. I don't live. Look, I don't live there no more, so it's cool.
that. Got you.
And this is Boss Lady. I do absolutely nothing. I take it to where I need to take it to get what I need to get done, and they get it done, and I keep it moving. I'm just keeping it real. That's
Sure,
that's
sure.
me.
My mother doesn't even put air in her own tires. I'm like, Ma,
I
you
wish I
Oh
could.
you
I
can do
could
man,
that.
say I have done that, but
I was like, Ma, you can do that. That's not that hard. Well, I'll just take it. Really, really. Oh,
it's a
okay.
mindset, yo. It's a mindset.
Yeah, yeah. I know someone, and I'm not gonna call her name. Wait, did we skip Jane?
We did, but I thought I was going to come in at a break, but go
No, you
ahead.
gotta jump in. No, jump in there.
Okay. So I'm pretty much along the same lines. I can.
Hello. Uh oh,
Did we lose her?
we might have lost her. She'll be back. Um, what I was going to say is somebody I know is of the impression that these things just were handed down to me by osmosis. But really, my dad only taught me the absolute. He taught me how to change oil, and I helped him put on a set of brake pads once. Everything else I either learned from reading a book or from reading the internet, and lots of trial and error. When I left college and got my first car that was my own, I spent many a day. I lived within walking distance of a Sears, and sometimes I would start working on that car in the parking lot of my apartment complex, and figured out that I needed something, and have to walk to Sears to buy a tool while my car was laying in pieces in the parking lot. I got there to the point where I can do a lot of the things that I do now. But yes, the internet, YouTube is a monster when it comes to repairing cars. That has been a great thing. Jane is all the way gone, but she'll be back. Okay, so now we get to the hard questions. And don't nobody reach to the computer and slap me. Have you made out in your car? In your car, not his car, your car.
Wow. Yeah.
Oh my God. Are you on a headset or are you on a speakerphone? Boss lady?
oh, you're talking to me. I'm sorry.
Are you on a
I'll
headset or are
say
you on
that.
a speakerphone? I forgot there were small people nearby.
Yeah, 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 yeah. See, this is an adult conversation,
Oh,
so step away.
okay. Sorry.
I would say no. That's okay. I would say the answer to your question is no, and I will leave it at no.
Okay, good enough. Uh,
And it's a no for star too.
okay, Jane, you back?
I'm back.
Okay, so the question we just asked was, have you ever made out in your car? Not his car, your car.
Absolutely.
Okay. Um, and I'll just ask this, and you can plead the fifth or just whatever. Have you ever gone past third base in your car?
Oh,
Only
sorry. I put back
once.
on.
Okay, only once. But I'm not doing that again. Ooh.
I will say the answer to that is again is no.
It's
Mm,
grossly overrated.
yeah,
Well, I'm
yeah.
going to plead the fifth.
Well, you specifically said my vehicle.
I,
So,
you don't have to incriminate yourself if you don't want
oh
to.
no, I'm not
No,
incriminating myself
I
at
phrased
all.
it the way I did on purpose.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Okay, moving on, moving right along. Um, what was your first car? Tell me a little bit about your first car.
Well, this is Boss Lady, and my first car was a 1984 Honda Accord Burgundy.
I remember that car.
I
Yeah.
had this in high school. And on occasion, I still see a car similar to that around.
Hey,
So,
cars of that vintage, I would say rust is probably their biggest failure mode, or people just getting rid of them because they aren't stylish anymore. But from a mechanical point of view, as long as they were cared for, they should last. Those cars are pretty well built and simple, so not a lot of extraneous stuff there to fail. Who's next?
This is Star. My first car was a 1989 red Chevy Cavalier that was our undergraduate car, and my sisters were too scared to get their driver's license. So it was pretty much my car because I was the only one that could drive it.
Yeah, so that's a classic my first car.
Yes.
If you're of a certain age, yeah, those Cavaliers were, wow, they were everywhere.
Yeah, that used to be all over the place. Oh my goodness. So mine was a 1990 Ford Festiva.
Yeah, yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
Oh yes, the little beater,
such a small little car.
minuscule.
Mine was a 1986 Nissan Maxima navy blue.
Oh wow, now that was stylish.
Say that's fancy for the
So
time.
even if it was the '90s when you got it, that was a nice ride.
It was. I was kind of proud of my mom for getting that for me, and it had it was automatic windows. Yeah, it
Yeah,
was. It
was
didn't
it the one
have
that
the
talked?
little.
Ooh.
Was it the one that talked?
No, it didn't talk, but
Oh,
it was. I was real happy with that car.
because that was the era when Nissan started putting voice modules in the car. Yeah. Did we get everybody? I think we did. Okay. What is the worst car you've ever owned? Like it wasn't reliable, or it had a bad smell, or just, sometimes you get a car and not necessarily that it's limited, it just sucks. Like my Camry, it sucks.
My current
Man, you,
vehicle is my worst vehicle. I have had to replace the engine and the transmission on this vehicle, and I've had it probably 3 years. Yeah,
Jeez.
yeah.
oh my goodness.
My worst would probably be the only car that I purchased that was not a Nissan, and that was a Dodge Nitro. She was
Ooh,
pretty, but she stayed on the side of the road
ooh,
a
yeah.
little too often for me.
Yeah, bad. But that was that the little small SUV thing?
It was.
Yeah, no, bad. Dodge bad.
It was awful.
I will say this is Boss Lady. I have no complaints because I've only ever driven personally the Honda Accord or the Toyota Camry.
Oh
Therefore,
wow.
I have had absolutely no issues
Yeah, those are
with
two
them.
of the most historically reliable and well-regarded vehicles in the history of mid-sized four-door cardom.
Yes.
Yeah, facts. Like you can't go wrong with either one of those. But same, I haven't had any major car problems, knock on something yet, because I went from the Festiva, which I rode till it died on the side of the road, to my Mazda Protege, which I rode till it died on the side of the road.
Wow.
It was a '99, and it died in 2013. And then after that was the Hyundai, and now the Beam. So yeah, I've had pretty good luck.
Wow. I had the Hyundai, the 1989 Hyundai was bad. But I excuse that because it was a really cheap car. At the time my parents bought that car, it was the cheapest car in America. And it was 4 years old already when I started driving it. And both my sister and I learned how to drive on it. So that car lived a hard life for such a cheap disposable type automobile. But the one that bugs me is I had a 1993 Chevrolet Caprice wagon, and that thing nickel and dimed me to death. Like, I had to have it towed like 3 times, and little things would fail. Like the start, I went to the post office one day on my lunch break, and the starter quit. I drove it somewhere, and the ignition switch, not the ignition circuit, the ignition switch in the steering column locked up on me. It blew a spark plug out of the side of the engine block, or the not the it's the old. It had the old overhead valve V8 small block, so the spark plugs are kind of like on the. Anyway, it blew a spark plug out. I was driving on 7 cylinders with the seventh one, with the eighth one going every time the engine rotated. It was the most horrible thing. Um, what else failed on that stupid car? The ABS went out on it. Like, just, and the fixes were never expensive, but it just seems like the water pump started leaking on me. Just like the alternator went, like everything, just things would just break on that car constantly. I was like, really, really? That drove me nuts. Okay, enough of me ranting about the Caprice, but it did have lovely vinyl wood panel decal on the side of it, so there was that.
Ooh, fancy.
Yeah. Oh, and it was big. I mean, I once hauled 20 bags of mulch from Lowe's in that thing. Um, Worst car, bad car, good car. Okay, now the fun stuff. Money, no object. You could go out and buy anything. No kids, no husband, just you, the open road, and a pair of sunglasses, and your best playlist. What's your dream car in that scenario?
This is Boss Lady, and I would have to say an Escalade. I just love the look of it. Now
Okay.
that would be my thing.
Oversized luxury. Yeah, I can see that.
Oh,
I can see that.
yeah, yeah, that's me.
This
Ooh,
is
I probably.
Steve.
Oh, go ahead, Star.
Okay. I would say a Range Rover.
Fine four-wheel drive, very sophisticated and British, prone to break down a lot. Yeah, okay, okay, okay.
I wouldn't drive it very often. It would probably fit me. I hate driving.
Well, if money's no object, you be like Jay Leno. You can afford a live-in mechanic to keep everything up to
And a driver. I would
yeah,
like
that.
a driver as well. Yes.
Yeah, if money were no object, I probably would get one of them little cute C-class Mercedes. The new ones, something real, cute, zippy. And again, if money's no object, so we can afford to have it in the shop all the time.
Mm.
I don't have a dream car, but
No.
I did. No, I don't. The only thing that is coming to mind is a Dodge Challenger, and that's just because I like the sound of the engine.
Mm.
But I'm sure there's something better out there
No, I mean
that
that's
has a better sounding engine. But I just
that's
like the way that it sounds when it starts up. I
if
just
you
like
like
the
the
roar.
rumbly V8, that's a good. I mean, it's
Wow.
got a very rumbly V8 kind of sound. Brum, 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 brum. And everybody that's got one loves to hop away from stoplights with them.
My sister-in-law has a
That would be
Charger
me.
for that exact same reason.
Yeah,
She just likes the engine sound.
I think that's why Dodge sells so many of them. I think people like the sound of that Hemi. Okay, well that gets to the end of the structured portion of the. I don't know what I was going to say there. Okay, we're in the free for all section because we got about not too many minutes before folks have to start dropping off. So we're in the free for all section. Is there anything you want to ask me car related? Is there any definitive statement you want to say? Is just I mean, just let it all out.
What is your dream car?
Oh, that's easy. Porsche turbo. Um, and oddly enough, it's an old one. It's the '80s era 930. So the the turbo with the flat nose. So what they call a 930 slant nose from like 1984, 85. There was one year they didn't import them into the U.S. because of emissions laws or something. But that's the Widowmaker. That's in the days when a Porsche would kill you if you didn't know what you were doing. And also it was air cooled, so it had the little fan spinning in the back, and that makes such a the flat six with the fan makes such a unique sound that it's just yeah. So that early 80s era 930 turbo flat nose. Okay, that's redundant. 930 means turbo. So the 930 flat nose from the early 80s. Nothing else?
I mean, cars or driving or both. 'Cause,
Yes.
we could go all day about
Or
people
drinking,
driving.
because this is
Yes.
cocktails
Oh,
and
that's
crankshafts.
right.
By the way, my drink of choice tonight is Grey Goose with Deer Park pomegranate lemonade water.
Please have an extra for me. I am doing a fitness challenge and I cannot participate in
You're
the
always doing
libation by
fitness
having
challenges. You're
hot
forever doing some
coffee.
fitness challenges.
I got to keep it together. I got to keep it together.
Yeah, well, I've given up.
Man, she trying to live.
That's not true. That's not true. Never mind. Yeah, we're trying to make some changes, but you know me, it has to be incremental. I can't do anything drastic. I'll lose my mind. So small changes, a little more oatmeal, a little more yogurt, a little less bacon.
That'll do it.
Anyone else enjoying a libation tonight?
Giving up alcohol.
Oh, I just totally forgot. I'm drinking tea. You know it's Sunday.
I didn't know you had ever started alcohol. Honestly, boss lady, you weren't. You weren't
That's
drinking age
another
last time
story for another day.
never mind. Yeah, we'll leave that go.
Yeah.
So I thank you all for joining me. This has been fun. This kind of thing is what I had intended this channel to be. Oh, full disclosure, Mae is my normal co-host, but we haven't taped anything in a while because we pre-taped so many shows that we just sort of took a break. Plus, I've been busy moving out of my house. I thank you all for participating in this. It takes a lot to give of yourself to engage in this kind of thing, especially in this era. We're still deep. For those of y'all who are listening, we're taping this in December of 2020. So we're deep into the COVID era, and our whole lives have been reduced to video conferencing. So I appreciate everybody willing to take some time out and join us in this yet one more Zoom meeting on your day, because I've got another one that starts here in a few minutes. Thank you so much. And if you have anything to say in signing out, I'll give each of you that opportunity now, and then we'll close for real.
I'm glad you finally recognized exactly who I was, but anyway. It's been a minute, but
It's been
anyway.
a long time since we spoke on a telephone.
Yeah, like 20 plus years.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
No one else?
Well, there's always the end of the YouTube video. Like, share, subscribe below.
I add that. That's a separate tag I add in post.
Like, share, subscribe. This has been fun. Thanks, ladies, for joining. And as always, forget people who are driving slow in the left lane. They can all, choke on a Dorito.
And what is this thing about people taking the mufflers off the vehicles?
Yeah, because they're too cheap to buy good sport mufflers. Or they're just idiots. I don't know. It's a thing.
But I see too.
Yeah, well, tend to emulate the worst of the culture. Oh, did I get political? I'm sorry. I went on SJW there for a second. Okay. That, I think, is going to wrap us up. But I'm going to say goodnight, ladies. Once again, thank you all for participating. Thank you very much, and good night. Thank you for watching Cocktails and Crankshafts. If you enjoy my content, please like, share, and subscribe. Be sure to hit the bell icon, and we'll see you soon with new content.